Have you ever wondered what really matters more? I mean, is it about being a good person or is it about having the right beliefs? It's a question that has been right at the very heart of Christianity for 2,000 years. And look, this isn't just some stuffy old theological debate. It's a paradox that has launched entire movements, challenged believers for centuries, and it was the very issue that helps kickstart the Protestant Reformation. So today, we're diving deep into that great debate, faith versus works. So what's the deal here? Is it about what you do or what you believe? Is just being a kind, charitable person enough to get by, or does it all boil down to a specific set of beliefs, no matter how you actually act? That's the big question we're going to tackle in this explainer. And here's our game plan. First, we'll set the stage with the ancient question itself. Then, we'll explore the really powerful case for faith alone. After that, we're going to look at the role of good deeds and see how these two ideas, which seem like total opposites, actually fit together. And finally, we'll bring it all home and see what it means for our lives right now. All right, so to really get this, we've got to start with one of the main pillars of the whole debate. And that pillar is this massive idea that salvation isn't something we can earn through our actions. Instead, it's a gift that's received purely through faith. This is an absolute cornerstone of Christian theology. This verse from Ephesians is a huge piece of the puzzle. And when you really look at the words here, grace and gift, they just jump off the page. The point is, salvation isn't like a paycheck you get for doing a good job. It's a gift, pure and simple, freely given. And this idea gets hammered home again in the book of Romans. The verse says, we're justified by faith apart from works. That one word, apart, is just massive. It really draws a line in the sand, separating the act of being made right with God from all of our own good deeds. So, to wrap up this side of things, salvation is all about trust, not performance. It's a gift you receive, not a prize you win. This is the heart of the faith alone position. But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? That is not the whole story. And this is where things get really, really interesting. I mean, if it's all about faith, then why even bother with good deeds? Why does the Bible also spend so much time talking about how we're supposed to act? Let's flip the coin and look at the other side of this paradox. Here it is, right here, the whole conflict in a nutshell. The Apostle Paul writes that we're saved by faith apart from works. But then James writes that faith without works is dead. So what gives? Are they just contradicting each other? Well, the answer really comes down to what the word faith actually means. You see, the biblical idea of faith is way more than just a mental checklist. It's not about simply agreeing with a bunch of facts. It's described as a living trust, an active, dynamic reliance on God. And if something is truly living, it's got to produce something, right? And we see this exact idea in action right here. In Galatians, it says the only thing that counts is faith working through love. This verse is amazing because it helps bridge the gap. It's telling us that real faith isn't just sitting there, it's active, and it shows itself through love for other people. So, how do we make sense of all this? How do we hold these two ideas together? This brings us to the resolution of the paradox, where we'll see that faith and works aren't enemies. They're actually two sides of the very same coin. And you know, to really drive this point home, Jesus himself told a really powerful story. It's known as the parable of the sheep and the goats, and it gives us one of the clearest pictures you'll ever find of how faith and action are totally intertwined. So in the story, it's surprisingly simple. All of humanity gets split into two groups. You've got the sheep, who took care of the needy, and then you've got the goats, who didn't. And the thing that separates them wasn't what they said they believed, but what they actually did. And here is the absolute knockout punch of the story. Jesus tells the righteous ones, the sheep, that when they served the needy and the marginalized, they were actually serving him directly. Their faith was something you could see, made visible through their compassionate actions. So it all comes together in this really powerful metaphor of a tree. Think of faith as the root system. It's unseen, buried, but it's providing all the life and nourishment. Now, if that root is alive and healthy, it will naturally, inevitably produce fruit. Those good works, that's the fruit. You just can't have one without the other. They're totally inseparable. Okay, so that's the big idea. But what does this actually look like for us today? Let's talk about a practical way to put all of this into action. It really boils down to 3 steps. First, it all starts with faith. That's the root. Second, you let that faith become visible through your actions. That's the fruit.
And finally, you trust God with the outcome, knowing that the results are ultimately in His hands.
And this verse from James just wraps it all up perfectly. It's a direct challenge, right? Don't just be a passive listener, be an active participant. True faith isn't just about hearing something or agreeing with it. It's about doing it. It's about putting that belief into practice. And so this whole massive, ancient debate, it lands right here with a really personal question for all of us. If faith is the root, what kind of fruit is your life producing? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.